Kia Bia, where you at? Where you at? Kia Bia,
That's me.
Kia Bia,
That's me.
Kia Bia.
Yeah, that's me. What's up, Kia Bia gang, and welcome to Zakia Chanel Podcast. This isn't just a regular podcast. It's a place where we can let down our guards and be our authentic selves. So let's talk about it. The real, the tough, and the funny conversations. At the end of each episode, I want you to walk away feeling better than you did at the start. All right, enough of me talking. Breathe in, breathe out. Now let's get into the episode. What's up, Kia Bia gang? We are back again with another episode. And I'm so excited. So this episode is a little bit different than what we usually do. But it's gonna be like the same thing, y'all. So I got a new guest. We, in our same little spot. We're not in no other area today, which is great. But yeah, so let's get straight into this episode, y'all. Thank you for joining. If you are a new listener, a new watcher, thank you so much for joining the Kia Bia gang. I truly appreciate it, and I hope that you enjoyed this episode. So, before we even get into our praise break, y'all, I gotta introduce our guest, okay? We got a guest today. I'm not on the couch by myself. So, for this episode, I have someone that is a businesswoman. She's an entrepreneur. She is a doctor, okay, period. Put that doctor before her name. She's a wife, a friend, literally like everything. Like, she is a phenomenal person. So, to the Kia Bia gang area, we have Ruby. Yay! I'm literally so excited. Y'all don't understand. Like, I told her this summer that I was going to get her on this, okay?
Yes.
And I followed through.
You did. And I for sure was going to come.
Yes. I'm so
like, yes.
So, cheers first.
Yes.
Cheers, cheers, cheers. We got our wine. Some little strawberry margaritas. Okay, it is good.
Yes,
it definitely tastes like it's gluten-free. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's got like a fresh taste to it. Okay.
Like,
Let me find out.
right?
I have to see where they found this at.
Like,
It's good though.
it is really good.
Okay, so we're gonna start with praise break.
Okay.
So praise break, as always, just something that's been going good in your life, that you've been enjoying or that you just wanna give thanks to.
Okay. I would say praise break is that I don't have any formal classes anymore.
Okay,
So
yes.
I'm really excited to just been transitioning out of like the student classroom type of role. And right now I'm studying for boards. So it's exciting to me. And sometimes when it's not exciting, I take a break.
Mm-hmm.
But I've just been really excited about just designing and seeing kind of what I want to do moving forward, because I've been so used to being a student that now being like a professional is kind of like, okay, well, how do I want to cultivate this into what I want it to be,
I like that, yeah. That is a lot to think about. See, y'all, that's what I'm saying. She be busy. I cannot. Okay, so my praise break would be that I'm happy God has placed me in like this new job.
I love it.
So I only been here for probably like only 8 to 9 months,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been so phenomenal. And I've like talked about it before of me just being happy here. But this past week, like just connecting with like my bosses, like really connecting with my coworkers lately. And I just like, wow, I didn't know I needed like a new environment like this.
Yeah.
And it's been just perfect. I feel like I've been growing.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm somewhere where they're pouring into me and I'm just not pouring into everybody. So
Right.
it's been pretty good.
That's good.
I've really been enjoying it.
I
So
love
that's my
that.
praise break. Yes. Okay, so our meme for this week is, let's see. Okay, so the meme for this week is some of us are headed into a season where we will not be able to stop winning even if we try. Period.
I like that.
Period. Okay.
I like the
I
part
it.
where it says, like, even if we try. It's like sometimes we forget that we can be our own, like, enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like, we're afraid of, like the outcome of it, even if it's something that's positive. I love that.
Yeah, and just, like, also, I think, just realizing, like, that you truly not in control. You know? Even if you try. So,
no matter how much you prep.
No matter what you do.
It's always,
like,
yes.
You're not in control.
Yeah. Me and my friend talked about this a little earlier today. I was like, the funny part is you can, like, prepare, and then God just be like, okay. And then it'd be like, you know what? Yeah, I did try. I tried. Thank you for, humbling me.
No, for real. Thank you for putting me right back here. So come sit right here.
Right.
Now. Let me control this again.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was spot on.
Yes. I love that one. I'm going to have to save that one for real.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you got a lot going on. Like, a lot. And we might not be able to cover it all. But I just wanted people... So... I've been really in a mode of not just changing everything about my podcast, but I also want to, like, start to shine light on different entrepreneurs that is in the Detroit area that is doing stuff, because I can be in, like, regular conversation and someone's like, yeah, I'm looking for somebody who can do this. And I'm like, yeah, blah, 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 do this, you know? So it's just so much creativity and so much that everybody's doing here in the city of Detroit. And I'm like, if I could be that person that can just, like, shine light on somebody's business of what they're doing, I feel like, we don't have to be out here trying to search for it. It's right there. We got the connection. We already see it. And then just, like, being able to encourage, because, as business people, sometimes it get hard.
Yeah.
So I think it is helpful for other people to kind of see somebody going through the same thing they're going through.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, as a business owner, and if you used to see my Instagram page, you'd be like, oh, okay, everything's moving smoothly, posts are happening, some engagement is happening, creativity is going on. But on the back end, sometimes it can, as a business owner, you can kind of feel like, okay, I'm a bit stumped of what my audience might want me to do compared to what my creative side is gearing me to do. And I would say, for me, my business started off as strictly crochet. And then it blossomed into, like, hair care and skincare. And even I'm having all these other ideas that's, like, popping up in my brain of what I would like to do, because now for crochet, I'm thinking about how can this be scalable, or even, like, as far as, like, certain markets of what's happening now, which in the crochet community is like, okay, we're seeing these crochet blankets and, like, Marshalls and TJ Maxx and stuff like that, and it's like $60, but they're like, queen size or king size blankets, and it's like, anything that's crocheted is not made by a machine. It's made by a person. So kind of going into the market of, like, not saying, like, how much do I price this? How much value is this? It's just kind of more so like, okay, how do I create this into a business where, I can be able to let said item go comfortably, knowing how much work I put into it. So yeah, being a business owner takes a lot of guts and a lot of confidence and a lot of ability to receive rejection in a way where it's like, okay, I'm going to take this information, make it better. Or I listen to the information and be like, okay, thank you for your input. Thank you for placing any type of input. And I'm going to continue to just keep going with the formula I have set.
That's good, because I think it's important that, like, you have that wisdom to even know, like, what to receive and, like, what not to receive, because all advice and suggestions aren't good, or sometimes it's just not for you, like, it could be for that person, not for you.
And that's something that you would pick up over time, because I started off with well, I guess I start off like what my business name is. So
Yeah.
my business name is Radiant Co. And my business is pretty much like a collective of everything that encompasses like Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
So Radiant Co. was started off from my line name actually. And one of the roots from my line name was just having a radiating type of light, type of spirit, gravitational for like other people seeing my positivity. So that's what I want to pour into other people. When it comes to like crochet, I started crochet. I learned how to start crocheting around 12. But I was that high schooler where it's like I like to do it under the table. And then if my crochet needle hit the floor, I'll be like mortified. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then like all the guys was like calling me Grandma Ruby. I'm like, oh my God. Like, what teenager want to be called Grandma Ruby? You know, like it wasn't really cool like that. And then, you know, in college, it went into being like, okay, I need a little gas money here and there. Like, okay, I could make you a hat for this, you know, amount, or I can make you a scarf for that amount. And that's when I really started to. And at first, I was the person that always wanted to just make something for free because I didn't like the awkwardness of asking people for money until I realized it's not asking people for money. It's letting them know the value of what you created.
Right. Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Okay, so rewind.
Okay.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about it, you know, your name and everything in high school. But like, tell us about like the little girl Ruby. Like, who was she? Where she come from? What type of personality did she have? All of that.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Detroit, specifically the east side of Detroit. And it's so and it's so funny when I tell people that because they're like, oh, because you have this demeanor, that demeanor. I'm like, well, what demeanor am I supposed to have?
Right.
Like, I mean, I don't know what you expected from me. But so little girl Ruby was the oldest of 4. So I was born into a leadership role. And I always try to find a way how to, I don't want to say escape responsibility, but like ways that I could kind of just drift off into my own creativity. So little girl Ruby used to take socks and make Barbie clothes out of them.
Wow.
Yep, so I used to take socks and make Barbie clothes out of them. My first love was sewing. I learned that from my aunt. And then it just kind of, I used to take like her material scraps because she was a professional seamstress. So took her scraps that she used to give me and stuff, and I used to make stuff out of it. And when I started to crochet, when I got around 12, that was my way of kind of comforting myself in awkward situations because I really wasn't that sociable. Girl, I was I don't want to say I was scary, but I had a lot of anxiety. I was like, ooh, these preteens is a lot. I was like, girl, you're a preteen too. I was like, well, I know, but they're a lot. So they're just a lot. So I used to crochet to kind of ease like any of those interactions and stuff. I love to dance. I love to be active, but I feel like crocheting to me is a way where I don't have to think about the next move. I like to create my own type of material and then piece it together to create something. And I think that's the journey. Like little Ruby used to like having journeys, like to be creative, sensitive, shy, still forms that still come up now in my adult like time. I figured out how to kind of like, I don't want to say mask it. Like I used to tell my professors like, oh, you know, whenever you see my smile get bigger and bigger and bigger, that means I'm more and more and more nervous. And they just used to crack up about it. But yeah, little Ruby was, you know, a leader, shy, but used to use her voice when need be. But I've always been a pretty much of a creative. Like I used to steal my dad's socks that didn't have matches, make Barbie clothes out of them.
Right.
I was like, I'm gonna find my stuff. My girl got somewhere to go.
Right.
So that's kind of, I would say, like the foundation of me.
Okay, so then we fast forward and you are in college and you said that you started to like do a little crochet here and there to get some money or, you know, get your little extra cash.
Yeah.
But after that, then what made you say like, I want to do this as a business. Like, let's take this off into something new.
Right. So actually, I fought tooth and nail not to make it into a business. I told my mom, I was like, I feel like I'm gonna lose the love of it if I create it into a business. I feel like it's gonna be mandatory, like it's gonna feel like another job, and I just don't want to be sitting somewhere just like, crocheting, and I lose the love out of it. But then I thought about it. And I said, well, Ruby, like, you're already doing something that you enjoy, and then someone is coming to you because they like how you do your work. So in a way, it's like you're doing what you love, but you're also getting compensated for it.
Exactly.
And that's when it kind of turned into a business, when I just decided one day, I want to say 2012. Yeah, 2012, my sophomore year. And I just put it on Facebook, and I was like, hey, y'all, I have a new business. I didn't have a name for it at all. It's just like, hey, I have a new business. I'm crocheting, and just let me know what y'all like. And yeah, so it started off with just hats and scarves. Like, they were like, can you make this and that? I was like, I'm not there yet, but I keep me in mind. Right. So that's how college, Ruby kind of started planted the seed for it.
Okay, so did you ever, were you nervous to put it on Facebook, or, did you have to boost yourself up to do that, or was it just always like, okay,
right,
I got this now?
So by that time, I think I was in a mindset of I can create something that nobody else had. So I wasn't too, shy or, I don't want to say embarrassed. Yeah. But I didn't really, in my mind, I didn't really care if someone was like, oh, Grandma Ruby type of thing. Because it's like, well, at least it's Grandma warm. Like, that's how I felt, especially in the wintertime. Right. But it definitely was a push, because at that point in my life, I was trying to do things that was uncomfortable for me. I was trying to push myself out of that circle of shyness, or afraid to step out and do something different. So by that time, I was like, okay, I definitely like this. I don't think the seed to push it as a formal business, but I would say it was like a serious hobby.
Okay. So what then got you to move your business to more than crochet? Where did that passion come from and everything? So in the time frame of 2011, 2012, that was the natural hair boom. Everybody was into, stealing olive oil out the pantry, trying to figure out where you can find olive oil, what is aloe vera gel, all that type of things like that. So we were stealing out of our mother's cabinets for oils and stuff. So at that time, my hair was to my jawline because it broke off my senior year. So here I am in my senior year of high school. So here I am in my sophomore year of college. I'll say, okay, I want to get my hair back down to the length it was at. Right. And eventually through the years, I just continued to do my research about what herbs, different processes help with infusing oils and everything. And the more and more that I continued to keep just testing actually out on myself, my hair started to grow longer and longer. And then I dyed my hair, and it continued to grow longer and longer. So in a way, I kind of was like, okay, if this is working, and the other people were like, oh, how you get your hair that long? I'm like, well, I do make oil. I say, okay, well, I'll buy some from you. And then that's how that kind of went with the hair oil. And then eventually I was like, okay, well, this needs a label. Right. Okay. I was like, this needs a label. And then that's how that formed. And as far as the shea butter products that I have eczema that usually flares up connected to either stress, or sometimes it's weather induced if it's too cold. So honestly, I was like, I don't want to keep buying this stuff from the store. So I'm about to just go and make it myself. And then other people was like, hey, that lemon cake smelled really good. Can I get another one? Is that cocoa mint? Let me try that. So that's it. I feel like it was just a natural progression, because I kind of thought of what is it that Ruby will want to kind of incorporate in my day-to-day self-care. So that's kind of how those products went into play. Okay. So for me, I be trying to So I have so much that I want to do, or so many different ideas sometimes. And for instance, like I got this podcast. And then at one point in time before this was even a podcast, I had a YouTube channel because I wanted to like do that. And then like now I'm working like on a new project with like writing and everything. So I have all of these things, and sometimes I'm afraid of like, okay, if I start this, I don't want to not give attention to this other thing, or how can I balance it all because it's one business altogether, you know? So like for you, you had crochet, your body cream, your hair products. So like how did you keep it where it was like a balance, or did you ever even feel like, hey, like I'm putting too much attention to this one thing and it's okay for that? Or like did you ever feel like bad that you weren't giving attention to something else?
Yeah, a big thing I learned that is helpful for me is having a planner. Like I have like, it's crazy. Like I'm that person that buys a planner every single year. Yeah, and then I love to have color coded G2 pens.
Okay, yeah, she got a little further.
For each of my stuff, like for my business, I have my own smaller business planner. So right now, like for me, my goal is to do better at posting consistently, because I'm not really a social media type of person. You know, like I'm more of like a consumer than like kind of putting out information. So what I do is I do fall back on my planner, but then I like to write goals. I like to do like, what is my main goal this year? Like how many podcast sessions would you like to place out, or like how many YouTube videos, like, you know. So I try to do, like, for me, I try to say like, I don't even go through for sales because I don't like to put that too much pressure on myself, but I like to say I'd like to finish one project or 2 projects in this season, you know, or I like to do 3 or 4 tablings this year. So if I have a large goal, then you can break it down into smaller goals. And it's definitely doable. Like, if you think about it, like, even for you, like, you know, you have all these things going on, and you were in school, you know, and you're a daughter, and you're a friend. Like, we juggle so many, like in OT, they call them occupations. Like, we juggle so many occupations already that we don't even realize on a day-to-day basis. But when it comes to things that we enjoy, you can always like use your planner.
All right. Before we continue our conversation, make sure to follow me on all of my personal social media accounts to stay updated on what I am doing. You can follow me on Instagram at _KiaZ, _KIAAZ. You can follow me on Facebook at Kia Brewer. You can follow me on Snapchat at FabulousKia_4. Or you can follow me on TikTok as Zakia Brewer. But make sure that you follow our podcast page as well on Instagram as Zakia Chanel Podcast. Okay, so where do we leave off at?
I usually sometimes get like my wine, and I might just go through 1 week of like goals. And then also like to put my goals in my phone too. In the event like I can't like really reach for my planner, or I'm just like, my head is in a daze or something like that, and I'm not paying attention, and at least my phone be like, bing, don't forget to post. Like, I understand you're going through some things, but don't forget to engage. Like, so those are ways that I balance. I would say for me, it was more difficult when I was in school, to be as like efficient as I wanted to. But I feel like sometimes we have to be a little bit more graceful with ourselves about just kind of being like, okay, it should be by this time, like this, you know, this many viewers or this many listeners by this time, and things like that. Like, it's good to have number goals, but I try not to have like number goals just in the event I don't reach that goal. It's not like discouraging.
That's real. I definitely need to get 2 planners. Because
your life planner and your business planner.
Because having one planner sometimes do be a lot, or sometimes like with my regular personal life stuff, like sometimes I know that if I don't finish it today, it's okay. Like I can get it done in the next 2 days. But sometimes with my podcast, I don't have you can do it tomorrow. No, like you gotta submit this today so that it can actually be published on the day that it's supposed to come out. You know? So I think it is smart that I definitely need to get a second planner. Thank you.
No
Noted. I got
problem.
it. I got
No
it.
problem. And also, what helps me because of how at times my emotions might, sway or whatnot, I try to do a lot of things like instead of trying to do anything like the day of. Like I'm pretty sure like, you do a lot of things like pre and like when it comes like the whole process like for publishing. But I have videos in my phone I forgot I took so that I can post. I'm like, yes. I forgot I made this. Right. Like I forgot I made this. And so that has been definitely very helpful for me, is that second planner just for business stuff, and also putting business stuff in your phone, and then using your calendar color just for your business too.
Okay. Got it. Okay, y'all better be picking this up because I am. Okay, so you have your business and everything, right? And have you ever felt like there was a challenge? Well, I want to do two parts to it. So for me, like, okay, I have my job that I got to do every day, right? And then also I have like this career that I am trying to like grow and do. And I felt last year I was having a lot of difficulty trying to figure out where's my purpose in this at, like with both things, because I know like I have my passion in it. I know why I was doing it, but sometimes I'll be like, girl, you can't focus on like your podcast right now. Like you have work, like, like this is what's getting you your income. And so like you can't focus on this. And I was having a difficulty, like just having a blurred line between the two and seeing like that there's a purpose in both parts of it. And so like I feel like the end of last year, I finally was able to really define that line of like, this is your purpose and what you're supposed to do with your career, but then also like this is your purpose with your business, you know? So like for you, have you ever found like a challenge where it was difficult to try to like navigate both, or has it always been pretty easy to kind of keep both separate?
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned about for last year, because last year, I don't know if it was like the spring or summer for everybody, but it was difficult. It was. I did have a time where I think I lost focus. Like I still felt like I had purpose in my business, but I lost focus. But I will say, I do feel like I've had a like an increase in my purpose since, because my tagline is "Be Radiant." But then also, I love the song called "In My Solitude" or "Solitude," like an old song.
Yes.
And it was just randomly, like I have like these vintage clips coming across my Instagram, or I think the song came on one time when I was just out chilling with some friends and stuff, and I was like, you know what, I really feel that song. And then for me, it resonated to me saying like in my solitude, because sometimes if you connect like peacefulness and like self-care towards like your business, it kind of makes you gravitate towards it a little bit more. But I did have a time where I kind of just stopped posting at one time. I didn't crochet anything too much last year. I made like one dress, but after like my wedding and everything, when I didn't crochet at all, I realized now why I had so much pent up like frustration. I wasn't doing what I love to kind of get a lot of those emotions out. So yes, I did. You do have those moments, but that's when you just kind of have to reset yourself and say like, yes, this might be a lot of work. Like, yeah, this might be pushing me into this, or like, yeah, my job might be providing me more of an income on those bases. But the thing about how I think of my business is like a flower. The thing about flowers are, when you plant them, you still have to nourish them, and then you still have to wait for them to grow. And then when they grow, you still have to maintain it. So the best things that happen are those that come over time. And the more that you continue to nourish, and the more you continue to be like, you know what, I know this is for me. I have a feeling every time when I'm done doing this, Like, that's how you know that the purpose is there, and you can have multiple purposes. So
that's true. Yeah, and that's what it was. Like
Mhm.
finding, like, you know, there's not a one purpose or one assignment. Like you have multiple, and it changes with each, you know, season that you're in.
Yeah.
You know, like for you, like it could be I'm in a season of I gotta focus right here on my crochet stuff because I know that this is where I have more of my passion at right now.
Right.
And then it could change to something else in
Yeah.
another season.
Yeah, and I think as a business owner, when it comes to like items being created, I think I like to do things in like smaller batches, or I like to do one project at a time so that I'm not overwhelming myself.
Right.
But that also comes into play where it's like I have it in my planner, like, hey, you know, or I went to the yarn store and I got a lot of yarn. So when I buy those said things, I'm like, okay, you know, this is my little project here, my little project there. But I think it just goes back into the part of having grace with yourself. And because being a creative doesn't mean that you're going to be creative all the time.
Right.
It comes into spurts, but as long as you're consistent, you know, you will continue to keep the ball rolling instead of the ball stopping, rolling and stopping and rolling.
Yeah, that's real. So, I'm going to change it just a little bit. Okay, so we were talking about your business, but I also want to talk about, like, your education realm, like, you know, your career as well.
Yeah.
You did a lot.
Yeah.
And so, I wanted to know, like, you know, first, what made you get into what you're doing, like with your career, but then like also how have you been able to kind of do both, or what made you say I want to do both and not just stick straight to entrepreneurship?
Right. So back to Little Ruby. Little Ruby loved to help people. Like if you scared your knee, I was there. You know, if you need a hug, I was there. And actually, when I went into college, my undergrad was at Grand Valley State University. When I went into college, I wanted to be a pre-med student, but they didn't have pre-med as a major. So I just majored in biology and was taking the courses to become an OBGYN. Then about maybe 2 months in, I realized to be an OBGYN or to be an OBGYN is like you're not just delivering babies, like you're doing actual like care for women if they're pregnant or not. And I was like, you know what? I don't think that that's my ministry. So I'm going to just figure this out. So I kind of I was a bio student, but I kind of went undeclared into my sophomore year. And my aunt, who's a nurse, she had like a student at her hospital doing their field work. And she connected both of us together. And the student happened to be an occupational therapist. And I asked her, I said, you know, well, what is occupational therapy? Like, what does that mean? Like, when I think about OT, I think about, we just help you get back to work. But me and her had the best, this back when Skype was popping. So, like,
not the Skype.
We had the best Skype phone call, like an hour and a half. And I walked out of there feeling like, I know what I want to do. I want to become an occupational therapist. And then, you know, behold, Grand Valley had an OT club, which I went to maybe one meeting, but I don't know what's going on. But nonetheless, I was like, okay, I want to be an OT. So I went to my counselor, and we pretty much set up the classes that I would need to become an OT. Yeah. And that, with me changing my major towards the end of my sophomore year, that made me end up going into being there for 5 years. And every summer, I also was taking classes.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
So I was 5 years all year round.
Yeah.
So after I graduated, I did have a couple more courses that I took over, but I became an OTPT tech, which is awesome when you are taking the opportunity to learn under the different occupational therapists or even physical therapists, because when you graduate, they want you to kind of see, they're kind of so similar that they want you to see like which one do you feel comfortable with, right? Yeah. And I still stuck through OT. I became an ABA therapist for a couple years because I was also trying to apply to get into OT schools, a master's at that point. And just year after year, just continue to keep trying, because at that point for me, it was like it's either OT or like I always knew I was gonna have my business, but I never thought like I wasn't going to not do anything with my degree.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of like in hand. So I was ABA therapist for a couple of years because that pulls from like the psychology portions of like OT and stuff. And then 2020 came around, and with all the other master's programs, I didn't get in. And then it became University of Michigan Flint. And they text me saying that, hey, our application cycle is still open. And I pray to God, because sometimes we just be like the meme earlier mentioned, saying like sometimes what I got from it was sometimes we can stand in the way of our own success. Mm-hmm. And girl, I did not submit my application the first time. The application actually shut. It closed. Mm. And then they text me maybe 2 weeks later and was like, hey, our application cycle is back open if you still want to apply. I was like, okay. And
if this ain't
right. And so when I got that text, I was like, God, if you want this for me,
right,
I'm gonna need you to pull through, okay? Because I stayed faithful,
right,
and a kind servant, and I need you at this point. So I did my extra 20 hours, observation hours. I took physics over that summer and 2 other courses, and I had to pass all those with a B or higher. Accelerated course with physics online is not it, but I made it through. But I'm not it. Yes, and actually I finished my observation hours maybe like a day before my job at the time had sent us all home because of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So that was a blessing in itself. Like she sent me her letter of completion and everything. And when I started the program, girl, I was terrified. I was like, okay, I'm in a doctorate program. None of my other friends were in a doctoral program. Yeah. I couldn't really pull any supports from my family. Mm. Of course, I had my husband's support because he was in law school at the time. So we just depended on each other. Yeah. We depended on each other, and eventually, it took from my professor to pretty much tell me because we used to do this anonymous journal, who really wasn't so anonymous. But I told her, I was like, I'm just having difficulties of feeling like I deserve to be here. Right. And she was like, Ruby, if you didn't deserve to be here, you wouldn't have been accepted. I know that's right. And I just took that and I just carried it throughout school. And that's how, those are the nuggets that I kind of took while I was getting my degree. And it just was a wonderful experience. It pushed any bit of extra shyness up out of me.
It was no time for
it. Was no time for shyness. Yeah. It was no time for second guessing. Yeah, and it was a beautiful experience because now I can, say that I have my doctorate, I'm studying for my board.
I know, that's right.
Right, literally when I pass my boards, that's the last thing. Now it's pretty much, I want to go into pediatrics. I want to be with the babies. Aww. And, just even the job that I have now is an extension of my project, which was to in a way figure out how occupational therapy can bridge the gap between maternal and infant wellness within the Black community. And that led me to leading a support group for women in the city. So that was just, I feel like when it came to school, girl, it was definitely an uphill battle. But when I started believing in myself and really, really trusting in God, because when it came to applying to those master's programs, I was like, what is it? I just, denial after denial. And I was like, okay, well, what am I doing wrong? But all you need is one yes. Mm-hmm. And that's what it was.
No, that's big. And I'm so happy you said that, because for me, that's what it took for this podcast, for me to now feel like I really feel confident in it. Just really, really believe in God and really not just taking the control out of it, but just having pure joy with it. Okay, God, whether I make money with this or not, I now understand what this platform is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not even about me.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the people I'm supposed to reach, the people I'm supposed to connect
Mm-hmm.
for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, once I realized what that was, I'm like, okay, it don't even matter about nothing else. Like,
No.
I'm going to just let whatever flow.
Yes. And I think that's the thing, like when we realize that like it's a bigger picture than us,
Yeah.
like that makes a difference. Because even from like for me looking at the video when I graduated, it still is kind of shocking
Mm-hmm.
because I told myself when I walked on Grand Valley campus, I said, I'm gonna be a doctor someday. And then literally I became a doctor. And I was like, wow, didn't even know. And I'm just like, wow, like, and that also says it's power in words too.
Yes.
And speaking over your talents and over your, your gifts and saying like, this is going to not only be a blessing for me, but a blessing for someone else.
Yeah.
And all you need is just one person.
Right. That's real. Mm-hmm. So, and then you also was talking about like your husband and everything, right? I know that's right. I'm still waiting for you to stop. But I feel like now I am at that peak, like I'm at that age where it's like, okay, you grown, like you're an adult.
Yeah.
And it has been so challenging, but it's been good through the process. But just this year already, like in these few months that we've been here, it's just like, oh my gosh, like just navigating like relationships, navigating friendships and family, everything. It's just been like really trying to know how much you can give without exhausting yourself,
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, like it's been a little hard trying to do it,
Yes.
Every week is different.
Yes.
But with all that you were doing, like, not getting all into it, but just like how were you able to like, continue to be like, it's okay, like today wasn't good with navigating it all, but tomorrow, like, we're gonna do better in this area. It's like, geez.
I think I learned a couple of valuable lessons in my life, especially the last 4 years. The first one is reason, season, lifetime. And we don't get to place people, opportunities, or I would say maybe mostly people and opportunities in those three sectors.
Yeah.
Like, life happens because either it wants to teach you a lesson about something or just bring to your attention about something that you're not seeing because you're just so like, oh, this is my friend, it's my friend, it's my friend. But when real life stuff starts to happen, like marriage or like having children, you start to kind of see who has the capacity to be able to be supportive to you. And for me, I had to learn self-preservation because even though I'm a very like, verbal person, like somebody asks me a question, I'll answer the question. I had to learn that you can't do that with every single thing because you don't know how that person might be going through some things, and you don't know if that information is going to come back to you in what type of way. And it's kind of like it's one of the type of things like with growing pains, and also understanding like you're a person too. Like sometimes I let my friends know like, hey y'all, I'm about to leave group chat. Nothing's wrong. I just need some time to myself. And having that group of friends to be like, okay, girl, we understand. Right. And I could be gone for maybe a month and a half, or 2 months, and then pop back in, and it's not like you left us,
right?
Like, how dare you? And it's just like, it's like, I'm a person
for real
who have limitations and boundaries, and that's okay. And I don't know if it's because after I like turned 30, something just like switched. Like you might hear this. And I feel like you're going to experience it too. It's like after you turn 30, it's just kind of like it's like, I don't have to do this. Like, wait, like, I don't have to do anything. Like, the only thing you have to do is, love and respect your parents, acknowledge God, pray to Him, love Him. You're married, can't leave your husband out, but you know, as far as for yourself, like you start to kind of think like, okay, I have to take care of me. And if that means that I may have to distance myself from certain people or even tell my family like, hey, I love y'all, but right now this is a lot for me.
Yeah.
Communication became a big thing for me when I started feeling like that. And also being okay if people didn't understand it.
That's real.
Because for me, like I mentioned, like I love to help people. I love to make people happy and stuff. But then I realized like at what cost if it's not making me happy or if it's draining me.
That's real. That's so true. Because it's a lot. And you don't be knowing until you in the thick of it.
Right. And so you're pretty much like shut down and then you realize like, oh, I got 100 text messages I didn't respond to. Or, oh, yeah, you did call me and leave me a voicemail message. You know, like even today, my because I'm studying, a lot of my work hours have been condensed. Right. And I can't make it to every single work, you know, thing because one, my work hours are condensed. You know, if I don't respect my own boundaries and limitations, then how am I going to, right, how is anybody else is going to respect it? So, of course, whenever if I, you know, someone asks me, oh, you weren't here, blah, 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 I'm like, yeah, I wasn't. And I wasn't on the clock. And it's okay. And that's why, now that's what I say. And it's okay. Like,
I like that. I need to do that.
Yeah.
I need to do that.
No, I wasn't. Utilizing the word no. Like, hey, we did this. No, I didn't. It's gonna work though. But no, I did not.
Right.
It's reassuring people that with their expectations of you, that you're not to be placed on a pedestal. You're a human being just like them. You're trying to figure it out just like them. And saying, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah, no, for real. And I was just listening to a podcast talking about like the part of expectations and it being so much to try to live up to other people's expectations when you have like, you know, expectations for yourself.
Yeah. Or even if you're that person that don't have expectations for other people, but as soon as you're having like one of those like draining type of days, or maybe you're just not really in your, you know, your best like self showing and everything, and oh, you didn't do this, you're not doing this, why aren't you, blah, blah, blah. Because I just don't feel like it. I don't have it. I don't have it today. I don't. And I think that's the best thing in those moments, because they do happen, and then they start to happen more frequently. And sometimes, you know, I do have sessions like with my husband. I'll be like, you know, that could have went much different. That could have went better. Yeah. And he's like, yeah. Like, yeah.
Right. I'm ready to talk about it now.
Thanks for always humbling me. But hey, like, but that's the beauty of being able to have a friend, you know, or have a husband that is honest with you.
So, the other question, or it's kind of like a wraparound type conversation, but so like, where do you feel like you're at now? Like overall, you know, with your business, with your career, your family, your husband, like, where do you feel like you're at now? Do you feel like, hey, I'm at peace in these areas, or, you know, I could work in some of these areas to do better? Like, where do you feel like you're at?
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a state of resurgence. Like, I feel like I'm in like new beginnings.
Okay, word.
Like, I feel like I definitely am in a space where like I have room to breathe now.
Yeah.
I'm feeling more creative. Like, I'm definitely jotting down like those ideas in my planner. Even when it comes to like after graduating, after getting married, which is 2 weeks apart. It feels nice now to finally exhale. Even when it, you know, because school is a big portion of my life. Like, that was pretty much all of my 20s was in school in some way, shape, or form. And right now I just feel very blessed. I feel very happy that I do feel like there's a lot of positivity that's going to be happening and coming my way. And I'm at the state now where I don't feel ashamed of how many great blessings that I have had and that I am going to have. I don't feel like I need to have to explain why to anybody anymore. It's just kind of like, I feel like I'm that girl and I'm about to be that girl and I'm okay with that. Because it's okay.
Yes, because it's okay.
Because it's okay.
That's the name of this episode.
Because it's okay. And, you know, I'm at the point now where I am ready to illuminate as bright as I need to. If people need to get sunglasses, they can go buy them. That's okay.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy in this new stage I'm in. Like, I don't feel like I'm in a lot of any sadness or any regret, any like, you know, oh, I could have did differently with this with my business, or I would have been here with my business if I would have kept doing this. Like, I don't feel that way anymore. I just create. I like to document now more from it. I like to experiment more. And even with work, like I'm super excited when I do pass the boards and getting to work with little babies, you know, like I'm excited for that. So I'm in a state of just, you know, ready to keep glowing brighter, ready to give back. Be like a support for other women who are going into grad school, and just really pushing the word of what is occupational therapy.
Yeah, that's what's up. I feel like for me, I think I'm in the stage of awareness, and I'm in a stage of lessons / putting it into like action.
Yeah,
you know. I think that last year was more of just like God really teaching me a lot. And this year it's about like, now you understand, like now I poured it into you. So like now you have to put in action. Like you don't have the excuse to say you didn't know anymore, you know? And so I think that I'm at that stage now where it's in action and being unapologetically like myself, you know, like understanding that I'm still growing, but even through the growing, I know who I am. Like no one can tell me who I am. Like I'm really confident in myself now. And I think that has helped me to set the boundaries, like what you were saying, like really setting boundaries and being able to lay it and let nobody cross them, you know? Because I'm a person where it's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. But now I'm like, no, you have a voice and you don't have to be rude with it, but you have a voice and use it and allow people to know like this is my boundary.
Right.
You know, don't cross it.
Right.
Know? Yeah.
And that's really important. It's very important for growth. Very important to almost in a way of actually nurturing yourself. Right. You know, and it's not like it as a protective measure or anything. It's really like a, you know, I love myself. I respect myself. I want to see myself feel good after this interaction.
Yeah.
And that's really the foundation of it, because like I mentioned before, like being an entrepreneur takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of confidence, a lot of consistency, a lot of like perseverance, and it teaches you a lot about yourself.
Right.
That how you run your business and like how you kind of handle different situations and things actually is a direct reflection of yourself. Rather if it's positive or negative, or I like to say not more so like negative, but more so like areas to improve. Areas to improve. So I think I feel like you and I are both in a space where, you know, we've come off to be before our evolution, like, oh, it's fine. Like, I know you didn't mean like that. But like, no, now it's like, no, I know you meant like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is how we're going to move forward because it's okay.
Because it's okay. Let's just talk about it.
Yeah. It's going to be fine.
It's going to be fine. I love it. Okay. So if we could do a run and tell that. So this is our run and tell that segment. If we can like give the Kia Via Gang like a small little gem, a nugget for them to like run with, to share with people or for themselves of anything with this episode that we've been talking about. Like, what would you want to share with them?
Run and tell that, run and tell that, run and tell that, oh boy.
I would like to share, be confident in yourself, love yourself within your strengths or areas to improve, because it can only be on you.
Okay. Period. My run into that would be that it's okay for your. It's okay. Wow.
Because
It's okay. But that you can start off with whatever your passion is, with it just being a hobby. To find your passion, find what really, really makes you happy, and allow that to let everything else flow. Like once you open up that door, allow everything else to come through the way it's supposed to. Don't try to navigate it or control it by yourself, but allow God to like direct you in every aspect. And then my last thing would just be to keep a good circle around you. Like how Ruby said she had her certain people around her, like really, really keeping your circle close knit and people who gonna actually support you in the season and stage that you're in. Yeah, period.
I love that.
Yes.
Look at you.
So that is our episode for today. Make sure that you go listen to it on all different streaming platforms, or you can go watch it on YouTube, wherever feels best for you. And then make sure that you share it with anyone and everyone. I truly appreciate it. Kia Be a Game. We're going to continue to go forward. And I'm going to continue to bring guests on here that's in the Detroit area that's doing big things, okay? So if you know somebody, please let me know, and I will bring them on the Zakia Chanel Podcast. So thank you again, and I will see you all in my next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, don't leave me hanging. Before you leave, make sure that you subscribe to Zakia Chanel Podcast. You can listen to my podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Buzzsprout, Google Podcasts, and SoundCloud. Or you can go over to Zakia Chanel TV on YouTube to listen and watch the podcast. Looking for someone to host your event, or you want to learn how to start your own podcast, or you need organizing tips, I'm your girl. You can contact me via email. You can also reach out to me via email if you need any advice on anything at Zakia Chanel Podcast at gmail.com. Remember, it starts with you. Be blessed and take care of yourself. Yay! That was good.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. You don't even know. I was actually really nervous.
Really?
Why? I don't know. I was like, ooh, this was a little bit different. I'm like, I'm really asking like interview questions on this one.
It was amazing. I loved it.
Thanks.
Because, girl, you know I love to talk. But I was like, Ruby, stick to the question. Make sure you answer
No,
the
you
question.
did good.
Okay.
It was perfect.
Look at dude. He's smiling.
Oh, that's cool. I've never seen a podcast put together before.
How warm this thing was until I put it on. I was like, whew.
You're like, oh, nice, actually. No, I don't need one.
Yeah.